I can talk all about my business if you guys want to know any specifics, but yeah, that's the general outline of me and my situation.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Eric, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I respond well to Erica, so it's all good. I work in the Kelowna, Kamloops, Thompson, Okanagan market in British Columbia. Been with EXP since April 2019. Broker owner prior to that. Managed large team. Created a coaching program in 2013, Platinum Process Academy. So I still selling homes, but priority is helping agents and turning them into consumer advocates.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Eric. Vinod, you're next.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good, and you?
Yes, doing okay. Thank you so very much. I'm too excited. This is the first time I'm here on this ICONversations. I'm too excited, and I'm from Ontario, Toronto, Canada, and with EXP, it's been a year and a half. And in my first year, I hit this ICON status, and in real estate, it's my 10th year, and I love to be a part of a good, amazing team, and here to learn more.
Awesome. Okay, great. I think we're missing one person. Derek was supposed to be here.
Yeah, Derek unfortunately couldn't make it today. We did get a last minute update from him. So it is just the four of you Canadian ICON agents today. So
awesome. All right. All right. My name's Kevin Flaherty. I run a small team in Orangeville, Ontario. That's just northwest of the GTA. Have about a dozen realtors, handful of staff, and been with EXP for about a year and a half. So what I'd like to do today is customize the content so that the people in the audience get the most value. So we've got some pretty powerful realtors on the stage today, and I imagine between the four of us, there's probably not too many solutions we couldn't come up with an answer to. So why don't we ask, what topic would someone like us to speak about or would like to know more about? Throw it in the chat. Who would like to know more about a particular topic? Hey, you guys.
Kevin, I've got a question for you. What's the number one priority that you schedule every day?
The number one priority I schedule every day?
Yes, and everyone else on the panel.
Okay, so I'll go first. My priority is reviewing my day when I first get in, considering what other people on the team, what their goals are for the day, and touching base with them to see that we're on track and that we can accomplish those throughout the day. Just kind of a review of the entire day. I like to time block stuff, so I'm big into time blocking. And yeah, I'd say reviewing in the morning. Chris, what would you say?
Yeah, that's, you know what, it's very hard to pick one thing to kind of prioritize, and I think that that's something that probably changes on a somewhat ongoing basis. But I think for me, I mean, just as far as like in general, my priority every day is my health and my happiness, followed closely by business and earning an income and keeping my growing my real estate business. But as far as real estate sales and my real estate career, right now it's I mean, lead generation's always top of my list, because that's the starting point for getting business. Finding more business is the key. Everything else kind of falls into order after that, and lead follow-up, and showings and listings and bookings, etc. But figuring out how to get more business and how to generate more leads is really like the foundation of anyone's business, and especially now that the market's slow, I'm finding I'm spending a lot more time trying to figure out how to get more leads and how to get more business, because it's a tough market here in Ottawa right now. Things are certainly a lot slower.
Anyone else have anything to add to that? All right, we have a question here. I'd love to know why some people prefer teams and others don't. What are some of the pros and cons for each across the board? That's from Angela. One of you guys want to take a shot at that?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So the question was, what are the pros and cons about running a team?
And why do some people prefer it, and why do some people not?
Well, I think it comes to what sort of personality you are, first of all. If you enjoy leading, training, mentoring, and all of that, you kind of have to have those abilities, or at least the desire to want to do that if you're going to run a team, because part of your responsibility as a team leader is to make everyone better around you. Even if that, and the beauty of EXP, prior to EXP, it was all about hoarding your team members, and if they left, they were, crucified. Where EXP's kind of changed all that. So really what you want to do is run people through your team, make them better, and send them on their way. But for those who aren't interested in a team, having done both, I can tell you that it's every bit as gratifying doing the number of transactions you want to do on your own. So that kind of suits more maybe the personality of someone who can't let things go, or wants to control everything. So you have your eye on everything on your own business. You don't need to allocate anything. Now, of course, you're trading that for production, but you get to keep all your production too. So you can be hugely successful in both, as far as I'm concerned, and it really comes down to your personality. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to, or good or bad, or this is better or that is better. I think it boils down to what you want to create.
Good answer, Eric. Yeah, so I mean, pros and cons, like Eric pointed out, it has a lot to do with your personality and what you want to do. When you start, as you start collecting realtors, suddenly you find you need administrative staff. So now you have to go out and hire, and then you have to have the ability to manage the staff, and that's a whole other skill set. But if you can hire, which is an art in itself, hire good people, that's success point number one. Is you got to be really careful with who you hire, because they can push you backwards or push you forwards. But if you're of that mindset, as you collect more realtors, you'll need more administrative staff, depending on what your service offering is. Like on our team, we generate the leads. We have ISAs that convert the leads to appointments. So on our team, realtors get given appointments. We also provide them with a very strong, unique selling proposition, so that they stand a much better chance of landing the listing at increased commission rates. In fact, we'll get 6% a lot in our marketplace when other people are getting 4 and 3.5. So that's the service offering. But then we assist the agents with the marketing as well. So if they land a listing, we have a marketing team that produced something called the Video Narrated 3D Animated Online Showing, and that's very unique in our marketplace. And so we're basically giving them the appointment, we're giving them the unique selling proposition, and we're handling a lot of the marketing for them. and basically on our team, if you're not working with a buyer, working with a seller, or showing a house or negotiating an offer, you're pretty much not doing it. So that's kind of what's unique. But in with that, that attracts realtors, but at the same time, it's a lot of work and a lot of management, a lot of admin staff. So really depends what your tolerances are for that. Pros and cons. Some days it's seems like not such a great idea. Other days, like you can get your weekends back a little bit if you have a team. But I mean, it gives and takes away in certain areas. You can often, the danger of having a team sometimes can be that you get a lot of overhead, and you have to be able to produce to cover the overhead. Whereas if you're on your own, you don't have a lot of overhead. You could, come into a slow time like we're entering into, and you don't have the worries of the overhead as well. So there's some of the pros and cons. Did that pretty much answer the question, Angela? All right. What percentage of your time do you spend on agent attraction and as an ICON agent? Vinod, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So I would say like in year and a half from me and my wife, we both joined in April 2021 as 2 agents. And right now in our group, we are 44 agents. So as far as the time is concerned, so I believe me and my wife at least give 2 hours of our day in kind of, talking to these potential agents whom we have worked in our, career, or, we kind of call them or do networking with them, these potential real estate agents. So at least 2 hours of my and my wife's 8 hours time or 10 hours time, we definitely give every day 2 hours to this. In that way, you're talking to them, you're interacting with them, you're telling them that, how EXP exactly works. And that's a good enough time for anybody who is like, if you are trying to do agent attraction.
Let me see. For new agent, Ashley asks, for new agent, is there a recommendation of minimum training to complete before we try to get clients? Or would you say go for it and get out there and train as you go? Well, in Ontario, we have the agent boot camp. I think that covers a lot of the basics on, the things you need to know. But beyond that, I'm more of the mindset of, get out there and get going, because you might be, if you have the ability to get clients, most of the time you don't have the ability to get clients, before you start putting lead generation in place and other things in place. But if you have clients, I wouldn't certainly say no to them while you were learning. I would try them as well. It's like I said, most of the time you have to be able to get the clients first. So what do you learn first? Does anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to add in here that if new agent can, work along with any experienced agent, probably for a month or 2, you can shadow him or her. So at least you have a better idea. I mean, if he or she is going to any listing presentation or, talking to any potential buyer, investor, so you can work with them kind of for a month or 2. So in that case, you will have the practical knowledge that how exactly in real world, they are doing real estate transactions.
Frank asks, do you recommend you have a physical office running a team? Erica, Chris, you want to stab at that?
Sure, I'll join in there. I actually don't run a team, but like I said, I'm part of a group of agents, and we kind of all work together and help each other. But most of us are just independent guys and girls that we just we'll help each other with, certain resources, and if somebody's away, somebody else is there to cover. But I like, the whole team versus solo agent thing. I'll throw my 2 cents at that, but everybody's gonna be different in their situation and what they're trying to do and what their goals are. And if you build a team, I think you're taking on more work, and you're going to have a lot more administrative and management duties, because obviously you're managing a handful of people. But in the long run, I think short term it's a lot more work, but long term can be a lot more profitable once everything's built, your systems are in place, your people are trained. You're going to be, it kind of sets the limit for the amount of volume that you can do, versus a solo agent, even with an administrator or an assistant, you're going to be limited to how much business you can do every year, because you're just basically one person. So I haven't kind of taken that step back where I'm going to focus on building the team and go through that process. And I kind of have I've got a streamlined kind of business that works for me. I do well, and I don't have to answer to anyone else. I don't have other people that need my help on a regular basis. It's just very clean and lean, and it allows me a lot of freedom. Still make good money, but I have a lot of free time to do what I want, right? So I think people need to look at their lifestyle and their goals and see what makes the most sense.
Okay, Chris, thanks. So I'll give it to you. I'll give you a little food for thought here on the sequence of kind of how it worked with me. When I had a home office, and I hired my first 2 people, and we were working out of a home office together. Had its own entrance, its own bathrooms, kind of separate from the house. Yep. And so then what happened was I wanted to. You guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I think someone else just has the mic open. Keep going.
Okay. So what I did, my first stage was we started getting some realtors on the team, and I wanted to expand a little bit more. So I got my first office when I was with my former company, and I bought an office. What I found personally was going into the office there was an office in my town, the small town called Orangeville, and I felt that going into the office had kind of a toxic environment. So I actually didn't like it in the office, and I opened up my own office just because when I was growing my team, I didn't want the contamination from the office with all the other agents contaminating my agents and my staff. So I opened up my first office, a small office, and started growing my team from there. It wasn't long before we weren't fitting into the office space. There was 2 challenges. One, we weren't fitting into the office space anymore. And 2, I had realtors and salaried staff members working in the same office space. And those 2 don't get along very well, because it would be very frustrating for me when realtors would hang out and talk to my salaried staff that I was paying instead of them doing their job. So that was kind of a bit of a challenge. So I actually opened up a second office in a small town where I was, and that office was for the realtors and to entertain clients, whereas my first office ended up kind of being full of administrative staff and marketing staff. And we were meeting on our team. We wouldn't just run out and willy-nilly show homes. Basically, unless someone was under an agreement with us, we weren't showing homes. So we would always meet, and they either signed a buyer agency with us or they didn't. And we would normally be doing that in the office, and we did a lot in the office and other places like their home and things too. Then COVID came along, and for the first time we started meeting buyers. Sellers are not a big deal because you go and meet them at their house, but buyers, we started meeting online and getting a buyer agency signed, or we wouldn't online. And once we figured that process out, a lot of basically my realtor office started becoming vacant. We started not having a lot of in-person meetings anymore, well, for years. And then a lot of the realtors didn't even bother coming into the office anymore. So I'm actually, looking at shutting that office down now, just because we had the other office and we just don't have as much need for it anymore post-COVID. So I have lots of administrative staff, so I find it's better to be in the office. But I could see, a future where it's very possible. COVID showed us it's very possible to run a team that doesn't have to be physically located in an office. That helps. Any questions regarding that? All right. Yep, that's a great idea. Smart. Keep it separate. Got it. Thank you. That's how it started out, but I probably, if I was starting today, it really depends on the circumstances, but I would almost lean towards virtual. But again, there's a new model to build a team now that many people favor over a traditional structure and traditional team. All right, what else we got here?
Kevin.
Yes.
And Chris and Vinod, what do you guys contribute to your ICON success, and how do you do this, and how long did it take you to reach this level of production?
Chris?
Well, I can jump in here. Like I said, I've been doing this 13 years, and it's taken me a while to build my business to a point where, I'm doing that kind of volume. It certainly didn't happen in year 1 or 2. So, I think that there's, any new agents should expect a learning curve of, understanding the business, understanding real estate from, architecture to construction to legalities to neighborhoods to values, and pricing and understanding sales and clients. I mean, there's a big learning curve to get to a point, I think, where you're very competent and very good at what you're doing. And, I think that, most people should expect that to take a little bit of time. And, of course, everybody's going to be different. But, for me, it was definitely a number of years of, I make mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes at the start. I still make mistakes every year. But obviously, we learn from these mistakes. We try not to make them twice. And, I think it's a matter of work ethic and just staying on top of things every single day and putting in the effort. And, I don't have any magic formula other than, I really just grind it out and put in a lot of time and, make sacrifices with my time and try and streamline things so, that clients aren't wasting my time. I'm obviously getting a lot better at reading clients and knowing which people are going to waste my time, which tasks are a waste of time, asking clients the right questions so that, if there's a home and your clients aren't going to buy that home, but they want you to go and show it anyway on a Sunday afternoon, you probably want to figure out how to, handle that situation and talk them out of it, because you can end up spending all of your waking hours running around for clients that just want to eat up all your time, which, nobody's going to be happy with that. So, it's then a big part of getting to a level of success where, you're making very good money and you're doing good volume is obviously having built your business and your network of clients and referrals and your circle of influence and, having your marketing systems up to speed. So, it's really a matter of building all of this stuff, so that it's a well-oiled machine and it's really running smoothly and, you're able to hit these numbers and, and still have, without completely losing your mind, which, some days and some weeks I get pretty busy and the stress levels do get high. But anyways, yeah, I think it's really going to come down to putting in the time and just sticking with it, year in and year out.
Thanks, Chris. Vinod, what led to you being an icon, would you say?
Yes, the first thing first is that what contributed in this, success. I would say that helping others, and helping others unconditionally. I have my past clients from my previous company. I worked with Raw LePage for 8 years. So I had, lot of agents, they know me. So basically what I've done so far is that I never, turn them down. If I know something, if I can help them in whatever ways I can, I have helped them. So in that way, I got these agents attracted to me by themselves as well. So I never kind of gone out of my ways to reach out them, and that they are attracted towards me and they are joining our team. And second thing is now, hitting icon. So I always say consistency is the main key. That I always do 5 calls a day, whether it is my buyer, seller clients or my potential agents. So I have started doing that, and it's giving me tremendous, very, very good results. So I believe it's not when you feel good, you do the work, and when your day is going, bad, you're not working at all. So I believe whatever you got to do, you got to do. And if you show up, you grow up. So I believe there's no success formula, but then again, you have to be very, very consistent in whatever you are doing. And 100% you can, achieve whatever you are aspiring for.
All right, thanks. Eric, what would you say?
I would agree with Vinod that there's no one way of doing this. What I try to impress upon new agents, and it's touching a question that came up earlier, about, whether you should get out there right away or train. And, I think you have to get out there right away because you have to earn money, but you also need to, I think you have to train and we need to work on ourselves on an ongoing basis because we are our business. And, in order for you to become invaluable to your client, which is what the ideal situation you want to create, because you want to, you want a client for life. You don't want a recycling business where your clients are recycling you and you're recycling clients, which is, a bit of the epidemic in our industry because lead gen is such the focus. If you held on to every client you touched, by the time your 10th year rolls around, you've got a marketing platform within your database. And if you're communicating with them correctly and providing them value, that's just going to spit out all kinds of business to you. And so I just think build a strong database of people who know you, like you, trust you, and would not think of buying or selling real estate without you. If you can do that, you'll be an icon forever.
So I would say, what was that? Stuff. All right. So what I would say, there's 3 primary things for me. The first one, and everybody knows this, is lead generation. But if you're not generating leads, you're going to have a hard time surviving in the business. So what I would say about lead generation is, I would say you have to make that your new best friend, and you have to learn it intimately. What I mean by learning it intimately is that if you don't know the difference, say, between social media leads and Google pay-per-click leads, you need to really understand that. You need to make, say, learning Google pay-per-click your hobby. And I mean, you should be able to teach that topic. I got into lead generation in a big way at the beginning, which was what I believe led to a lot of success. That's point number 1. Google Google AdWords, learning how to run campaigns, learning what campaigns work, and we're going to talk about tracking in a minute, but knowing it on an intimate level. Like you should, if you set out to go, I'm going to teach how to be successful with Google AdWords, Google pay-per-click, whatever you want to call it, that would be a good place to start. The next thing is a lot of agents get in front of clients and they lose that opportunity. It takes a lot of work to get in front of a seller. So here's the bottom line. Here's a question you need to be able to answer even if the seller doesn't ask it when you're being interviewed. That is, why should I list my home with you above and beyond all the other options I have out there, including people who are willing to do it? Well, we've hit free now. There's agents in my marketplace. If you buy from them, they'll sell your house free. So you better have a really strong, unique selling proposition, and you should investigate and determine which ones would be good for you. And but it really does need to be strong. And then the final thing is, and this one I ignored for a long time, it's basically knowing your numbers. And one of the common denominators, I flew across the continent for a long time at the beginning and got in the room with highly productive realtors, which, by the way, is a really good idea for success. I paid to do that a lot. And what I found was the common denominator between the most successful realtors is that they know exactly where they are, exactly where they were, exactly whether or not they're on track to meet their goals. They track everything. And by the way, tracking advertising is very important. So it really comes down to where am I getting the leads from, how much are they, and what's converting. Like, you really need to know that, because basically it becomes simple at that. You just do more of what's working and less of what's not working. One of the big things that comes under the category of lead generation, but more along the lines of lead conversion, is knowing how to handle leads when they come in. If I found that when I interviewed realtors that wanted to join our team, I would role play with them. And one of the things that I found was even successful realtors that have been around for a long time weren't extracting in the role play the information that they needed to know. And that's a critical mistake. So we have inside sales agents. We have a very particular script that they're following. They know how to handle objections. They know what the most common objections are. And that certainly increases conversion. A lot of people think that the leads they're generating suck. But the reality is they may not be doing a very good job of getting back to them. One of the most important things, by the way, in getting back to them, there was an MIT study done that basically said and showed, if you query MIT study lead gen and you look at the graph, and basically it came down to this: if you're not getting back to your leads in under 5 minutes, the probabilities of converting them start diminishing very, very, very quickly. And I think I don't know why the lead study come up with that, but I think what it is you can get back to them within 5 minutes. They're still on your website. They're still thinking about real estate. They're still on the computer. They're still available. If you get back to them 30 minutes from now, they could be cutting the grass or bathing their child or off doing something else. And that's kind of a big deal. Hope that helps. All right. So let's see. What do we got here? Any questions on any of that?
I have one for all of you guys. Could go into the why. What gets you going? A lot of new agents and a lot of seasoned agents want to know what keeps everyone else going. What is your why in this industry?
Vinod?
Yes, for sure. My why is very clear, that, as I mentioned earlier, that I really want to be happy. Happiness is my why, right? I'm at that point, and you can say stage. Money is okay, financial freedom is okay, but now I have some different goals, right? My why is that I want to be happy, whatever way I can get happiness. So that is my why. And the main thing is now new real estate agents, right? So they need to know one thing, that if they're coming to this industry, this is not that easy as it may seem, right? So now if somebody comes to me and asks me that, okay, I want to be successful, so now I have full training and everything, so I can provide him and I can help him, and that way I can get my why, I can get happiness, and he can be successful. So helping others is again my answer to this question is.
Okay. Chris.
Sure. So great question. And, it definitely requires some thought to answer. But, what is my why? You know what? 13 years of doing this, I'm starting to enjoy it, and have enjoyed it for many years. But when you get good at something, and you're very knowledgeable, and you're really able to help your clients navigate difficult situations, there's definitely a reward in that, and the feeling of being able to help your clients and get them their dream home, and get their home sold at tough times or for a top dollar, whatever it is. So I definitely enjoy working with a lot of my clients, and it's really nice when a deal goes really well and your clients are ecstatic about it and they're super appreciative. So that's great. I mean, obviously the money is an easy answer here. Everybody likes to make money, and obviously if we weren't making money, we wouldn't be doing this. But above and beyond just the financial side of it, it's nice. It's nice when you get really good at what you're doing to be able to kind of pass that over and share that knowledge and guidance with clients to get them through difficult situations. And so, yeah, I definitely enjoy working with good people, and I enjoy the successes of accomplishments and getting deals done with them.
Cool. Do we have any other questions from anyone having challenges they want to overcome right now? Don't be shy. Open up your mic or type it in the chat. What are you having challenges with right now, and what can we help you with?
Well, I'll chime in here. I don't know if this is something anybody can help with, but my challenge right now is, which maybe others here are facing, but we've got, because the market's slowed down, we've got sellers that are still in the mindset that their home is worth, absolute top dollar, i.e. 2021 prices, and which the market is obviously, it's slowed down a lot, and the prices are not what they were. We're down probably 20% around here. So, the challenge I find right now is you got sellers with these super high expectations, and then you've got buyers that want to come in and they just want to get a good deal. They want to lowball, and they want to complain that the market's slow and interest rates are high, and trying to get the two parties to kind of agree on something. I'm finding that's very challenging right now.
All right, I'll take a stab at that one. So I actually had an agent call me yesterday morning, and she was nervous about going into a multi-million-dollar listing for exactly kind of these reasons. And I started asking her to tell me what she was going to say. And what I noticed was that she was talking about, her unique selling proposition, of course, and why they should list with her, and all of this other stuff, and it was kind of positive related. But what I think it's really valuable to keep in mind, and what I figured out over the years, is that people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. So they'll do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. So I'll give you an example. First of all, you should be intimately familiar with what's occurring in our economy, where inflation's at, why the Bank of Canada is doing what it's doing, what effect it is having. You should be intimately familiar with your opinions on where you think the market is going as well. And I just came back from the Build conference where we heard from some of the brightest minds in North America with respect to real estate. And I can tell you the one common theme, is kept very positive, and it was a great event. But the one common theme, hell, it even came out of Tony Robbins' mouth, is there's a flood coming, and you better get your boat in order and better get prepared for it. And I heard estimates ranging, and this is across North America, but things aren't good out there right now. And moving ahead, everybody's opinion is going to be different, but I can tell you some pretty bright minds think there's a possibility of 25% reduction in market value on homes moving ahead into 2023. So how you would utilize that is the seller can't get their head around where their value was in February of this year. But what I point out is if you think that's going to be bad, wait till you see what's coming, and be able to discuss it intelligently about why I think there could be very challenging times ahead, and what will it look like for them if the market continues to decline. So again, they'll do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. Let's say you're meeting in front of a buyer, and you're trying to convince the buyer to meet with you, or sign a buyer agency with you. So you're in the meeting and you're talking to them about signing a buyer agency, and you've said all the common stuff. You're going to send them homes that match their specific buying criteria. You have access to off-market homes and exclusive listings, and you say to them, like, what if you had access to an off-market home or exclusive listing that was kind of in the ballpark of what they were looking for, and you were able to tell them, actually, I think I know. See, they think they don't need you because they think they can pull up all the listings and have all access to all the same information as you do. So you have to shake their confidence. Right now, I have 2 off-market exclusive listings on my team that nobody knows about because they're not on MLS. The last one I sold that never made to MLS was just 2 weeks ago, and we sold it during the exclusive period. So as we talk about, if I can give them an example of a home that I sold that they had no idea even existed, shakes their confidence in that they don't know. What about that database? We have over 200,000 people in our database, and I can tell you, I know a lot of people planning on selling in the spring, and I may be able to match up their criteria with people that I already know are going to sell their home. These are the kind of things that reflect pain, missing out, fear of missing out, or pain versus trying to sell on pleasure. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does anyone else want to comment on that?
Well, I'll throw in the, my opinion. You obviously you hit some excellent points there, and I think it was very insightful. But we're in Ottawa here. We're down at least 20% now, and I've read the news headlines and 25%, blah blah blah. It's not going 25% lower than we're at now, because we'd be at 45% or 50% down, which is not happening. So the numbers are telling me that we're in the bottom. We might hover around this range for a while, which I think the fear of the interest rate thing has already set in, and it's been factored into pricing. I think the next step is starting to pull out of it, and as we come into 2023, where the talk is that they're going to level off and potentially start interest rates will start coming back down again. I think the next phase, the next swing is going to be, for things to start heating up at some point. I don't know when, but there's a lot of talk about when things are going to happen, how long we'll be in this phase for, blah blah blah. But anyways, on the plus side, there's certainly some good deals out there right now.
Yeah. Do you see how the difference, if I walked into someone selling their home and Chris walked into someone selling their home, how they might feel differently about maybe they wait until things get better? We have different opinions. I have different history. I've been around since 1988. I know what it's like to sell homes in a time of hyperinflation. By the way, they calculate inflation very differently now than they did in the 70s and 80s. And I would respectfully submit that if they calculated it the same way they did in the 70s and 80s, we'd be around 15% inflation. Bank of Canada has only one tool: fight inflation. And that's raising interest rates. And by the way, when I got into real estate, I was seeing mortgages coming due at 22%. I thought I got a great deal when I bought my first home, and my mortgage was 14%. If people think that interest rates are high right now, I got news for you. They have the potential to go significantly higher. And I have concerns about the economy in general. Things aren't good. I don't think they could get any more scary than they are right now. So when I'm talking to a seller, and like I was talking to one the other day, and hey, listen, if you're selling your home and you're going to buy a new one or buy another one in around the same cost, hey, this one comes down, that one comes down, right? Doesn't come down, then it's around the same. But the seller I was talking to the other day got engaged and was moving in with her fiance. She realizes any loss that's occurred because she's getting out of the market. She's moving in with her future husband. So I don't know of anyone talking right now about the market leveling off, except Chris maybe, or God forbid going up. The only conversations I'm hearing is how far down will it go and how fast will it get there. And by the way, there was a sudden stock market correction next week. I think you would see a rapid decline in market values. And who thinks that's not possible to occur or even likely to occur in this year? Because I think a lot of people would tell you things are very volatile right now. And I've been around when the headlines on the paper said crash, and I know what it looks like. I also know what it looks like. Tell you the skills that even we have had make us icons up here. Moving ahead, skills will be entirely different. And I know what it's like selling homes when we've got very high interest rates and inflation. So I've been there. I've done that. I know what it feels like. And by the way, it's starting to feel very similar. right? So I guess the perspective you have when you're speaking to a seller could determine how aggressive they want to be in their list price. And I guess they're going to get, well, I guess a lot of the time they get that from you.
Well, yeah, trust me when I say I put enough time in and tried to convince these people to lower their listing price or buyers to come up in price, and using all the same tools. But sometimes these people just don't care, and they're not going to budge.
And you'll get that. You certainly will, but it depends on circumstances too, right? Like you have to, the number one thing when it comes to sales, you remember, one of the tests they do is they hand somebody a pen and say, "Sell me this pen." It has nothing to do with the pen. It has everything to do with your ability to extract information. So if somebody ever hands you a pen and says, "Sell me this pen," the second you start talking about the pen, you lose if it's a job interview and it's in sales. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I would like to add here, Kevin, you said it very right that it depends on a person to person. But now if we talk about sellers and buyers, in Toronto market, we have seen that inventory is decreasing day by day. I know that winter is coming and there will be very less houses for sale. But at the same time, I mean, how much percentage do you think that first-time buyers are buying properties, in last 10 years? So let me hear it, because for me, my whole database or buyer or sellers, I have those sellers who are second time or third time. So basically, it is always proportionate for them that if they're selling property high, they're buying high. But if they're selling lower, they're buying lower, right? So I believe sales are happening, transactions are happening. I know, like percentage-wise, they are not that many as they were in the month of January and February. But if we see July and August, so July month was a better month as comparative to, August month was better than July. So what do you say? How many are first-time home buyers? Because those are the people I believe who are sitting, other side of the fence.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not exactly sure of the question there.
Yeah, so I just want to know how many first-time buyers are buying properties in Toronto or wherever it is. Like, what is the percentage of our transactions? Let's say we have 1,000 transactions in Toronto Real Estate Board. With your experience and knowledge, what do you think? How many first-time buyers, or what is the percentage of first-time buyers who are buying homes?
I don't know. Do you know?
No, because that makes more sense. Because like 90% to me, it looks like 80 to 90%, these are all second-time buyers. So we just have to make them understand that, okay, if you're selling property, if you're thinking that you will sell a property at the price which were there in January or February. So basically you're selling a property higher, but you will have to buy higher, right? So if you're
like I said, the circumstances matter.
Yes.
Back to the pen. Somebody might be selling to not buy, right? And like I just had it the other day, they're not buying. So now that's an entirely different circumstance. Secondly, if someone's a second-time home buyer, somebody had to buy their home in order for them to be a second-time home buyer. But what I was suggesting earlier was each circumstance is different. And we have to extract, one of the most powerful ways to sell something to anybody is to extract information from them before we can sell them. Listen, if I had a listing presentation, if that didn't matter, I could make a listing presentation and have a monkey take a computer over, sit in front of a seller and flip the slides in front of the seller. And then I could see how many listings I get. But it doesn't work like that. We have to you have to listen to what the seller wants, but also what their pain points are. And keep in mind, a very powerful sales strategy, again, is people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. If you are selling a home, completely different circumstances. Maybe you have a single female that has a large home. Maybe your husband passed away. Maybe she's just single. Maybe the house is too big for her now. Maybe her taxes are $16,000 a year. Maybe she can't do the lawn maintenance anymore. Whatever her pain points are, that goes to her needs. And that's often the secret of selling and getting the terms that are best for them. Let's face it. When we start talking about the future, as you've seen here between Chris and I, we can have vastly different opinions on where things are going. And that's up to you, how you handle that and how you extract information and how you use that information to sell your services when you get in front of a buyer or a seller. So we're coming up on the hour right now. Can maybe take one more question and then I think we're out.
Kevin, I have a question if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right. First a comment. I'm out of the Indianapolis market in Indiana, 3 hours south of Chicago and Canada.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, John. If the gentleman on stage could close their mics while John's talking, you might get some feedback.
I'm getting some feedback here.
There you go.
Is that better? Okay. So one thing I can tell you, I have about a $3 million piece of ground that a builder's looking at right now, and it's on the next week is probably the decision if they're going forward with it or not. And from what I've heard, the builders are pulling back somewhat to keep out of the line of fire from having too much ground, and they're selling some of that land off. So we do see it here as well, but our inventory levels are very low. Just as a quick update on us. But I have a question for you guys doing lead generation for your teams. What do you see from what's your philosophy on providing leads to agents? How many leads would you give them? And what kind of tools do you use to keep them accountable?
Anyone? I'll take, yeah, sure. I dissolved my team quite some time ago, so I would think that after 10 years, there's probably new software and whatnot. But the answer to your question, there are no team members that are going to be the same, that are going to be able to want as many leads or handle as many leads. But so you kind of have to figure out, A, what type of personality they are, what how aggressive they want to be. But aside from being well trained on how to approach that prospective client, it just has to be very, very consistent. And do you have a team now?
I do. I just brought 2 newer agents on board. Yes.
Okay. So I would, in my opinion, something to consider is, I don't know what sort of schedule or whatever you run for them, but I would train them up on not having appointments in the morning and saving their face-to-face appointments, either showings or listings, in the afternoon or evening. Of course, weekends are a bit different when you got buyers in from out of town. But I would train them up to keep their mornings to themselves so that they can hammer away at new leads and even do it together, train together, get more prolific at conversing, building trust. Don't worry about. I hate the word closing. I prefer the word opening, because I think we're opening relationships with clients. We're not closing them to deal with us. So just train them up on the right philosophy, right activities, and when to nail down. Sometimes they have to do it in the evening. Evenings are better to follow up, but see if they can get together and do it and have some fun with it. But basically, the clients, how many do you give them? Well, I mean, as many as they can handle, but you have to be on top of what they can handle, because they're not all going to handle the same amount.
Okay. So an experienced agent, what would you say an experienced agent could handle from a internet leads standpoint?
Well, it depends on what sort of conversion. Conversion's typically very poor with internet leads, so it's less than 5%. So it's going to come down to how many people they're working with at the time too. Like if somebody's converting more and they're out having to deal, they've got 8 or 10 buyers on the go. That's a full-time job. So do they need any more leads at the moment? Well, you can't turn them right off, but you might want to pull back. So I think you have to know how many people they're dealing with, how many they've converted, and how many are they out there now showing, because you can't keep force feeding them leads if they run off their feet with the clients they have as well. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
Thank you.
So one of the things to keep agents accountable is I use a software called Sisu. I put a link in the chat here. Basically, anytime you meet with an agent, you need to reverse engineer what they want to accomplish. That's talking to so many people with so many leads and what they need to do and what they're prepared to do. And in order to keep them accountable, they need to report daily on their activities. And one of I find the best software on the planet to do that. And by the way, it works with individual realtors. When you make your own plan and you have to keep track, if you say, I'm going to friend 10 people a day in my marketplace on Facebook, I'm going to knock on this many doors, I'm going to call back this many people, I'm going to do this, whatever your plan is, you need to break it down into daily steps, and you need those daily steps to be accountable so you can keep track of whether or not you're on track. And it works the same way with agents on my team. So the other thing is, like I said, the common denominator between highly successful agents is they know their numbers. They know where they are at all times. And that Sisu software really works well for that. Okay, that's all. That's it. We're wrapping up. Thanks very much for coming. This has been a very interesting panel, and maybe we'll see you guys on another one. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you for attending this week's ICONversations. I just want to have you all keep in mind that this happens every week on Friday after the leadership meeting at 8:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, each one of you here in the audience, these fellas, these icons behind us, Meg and I, we want to bring a lot of value to all of you, and not just you sitting here today, but people that you know in your downline, people that you think in your state groups, people that you know from outside the company that you want to bring in. Send them a guest pass, bring them in. How many of you, place a 1 in the chat, think that you can bring in 3 people next week to this meeting? Okay, John, great. So you can commit to bringing in 3 people to the ICONversations next week. That's awesome. How many of you else? Open your mics. We hope to see you here next week, 8:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 hour long. Let's give it up for these icons. Thank you for bringing so much value today. We really appreciate you all. All of you, enjoy your Friday. Yes, Meg, yes. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you
Thanks.
to all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
You are welcome, Joe. Thank you, Kevin. Hey, Sam, how are you doing?
So nice to see people here on guest passes as well. So
yes.
awesome.
You guys can bring in anyone on your guest passes. You can go into your enterprise account, invite someone that you want to attract to the company, show them what ICON is all about, because you know what? This is very special, a lot of value. Sean, Sean Phillips. You can go ahead and open up your mics if you have questions.
Good morning. This is Sean. It would
Hi.
be helpful if EXP would send us notices when a guest that we've sent actually accesses a guest pass. We don't have any way of tracking it.
I will absolutely check into that for you.
I would truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that feedback. Does anyone else have a question? If not, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.